Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 7 of the DrumQuig podcast. I'm Matt, and
And I'm Troy coming to you from Louisville, Kentucky, home of Derby 150, folks. I
oh,
could care less, but somebody might. So just saying, hey.
what? So, what's it like with Derby Town? Like, what's the atmosphere like around the city and everything right now? We're just gonna jump right into that because now I'm curious.
Um, Pretty much no different than any other time. Lots of bourbon, lots of parties, lots of drinking, food. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
And
with that
a
either.
lot of traffic, a lot of traffic. So,
I was gonna say the traffic is probably atrocious at this time.
yeah. But I don't live, I live probably 25 minutes from Churchill Downs, but I don't get anywhere near there, so it's cool.
It's probably a good thing. So, I know we
Hmm.
were we were talking a little bit before about just coming right out and saying it. The worst kept secret in all of drumming secrets, with Slipknot finally announcing that Eloy Casagrande is their new drummer. So, how do we feel about this, and how do we feel about how this was handled? Because I, for one, think it was stupid. Sorry, guys.
I think it was handled poorly all the way around, where he suddenly up and leaves Sepultura on their 40th and final anniversary tour, and then they just start putting hints out there. You know, Jay got did pretty wrong by Slipknot, but ended up Jay's getting suicidal tendencies, so that worked out.
I mean, they've just been rotating through people because they had Grayson Krutman for a while. Now Grayson's playing with Sepultura, and then Jay goes to Suicidal Tendencies, and Eloy goes to Slipknot. It was just this weird triangle of like some really bad hockey trade. I feel like, like
Exactly. It's Yeah, and I think a lot of those chops guys go through suicidal tendencies. Eric Moore went through there after he won the drum off
mhm.
from Guitar Center a few years back, and it's just one of those bands where the hot drummer seems to go. But let's
Yeah,
hope it works out for Jay.
yeah, and I don't see Jay staying. Like I just don't see like that's his thing. And Jay, if you're ever watching the show, we'd love to talk to you because we do feel you got did dirty. Like let's just come out and say it. And I know the internet has just beaten this to death. I didn't want to use beat a dead horse because we just talked about the derby.
Yeah, horse racing. We had that problem last year. So.
Um, But really, I feel like they did Jay dirty. We don't know all the background stuff. The way Jay made it sound was that I mean, he was blindsided. He didn't have any idea. And I really think his creativity is not going to it's not going to mesh with Suicidal for very long. At least that's my opinion.
Unless they're wanting to go in a different direction or something like that. But
Well, that's all you have to say now. And I mean, really the internet broke down everything about Eloy going over. They're like, "Oh, these are his sticks. These are this." And I guess it was the final straw, besides them tagging him in a post finally, was the way he played the Heretic anthem. And they went back to a video he posted years ago, and he did um, just a certain, I think it was a double crash in the middle of it to kind of add to it. And everyone was like, oh, that's him. Like, that was, this isn't, 1992. We all have the internet, we all have the ability to look this stuff up. So, why do you think they kept it a secret? Why do you think there was such big mystery around all of that just to get us talking about it like we're doing now?
yeah, I think Slipknot's trying to get anything they can to still be relevant. Um, they didn't create the genre. I'm not even sure they took it somewhere new. Um,
Mhm.
well, there's a lot of underground stuff. I mean, Gwar's been doing costume rock way before they were ever
Oh,
born,
oh, yeah.
so it's like it's not really anything new. Um, and I'm not sure it's still relevant at this point. The anger when you're 50 is not the same anger as when you're 22. So, because that Iowa album's 30 years old, I think, at this point. So,
Yeah, and I think they're doing the tour. Then they announced the tour, and I'm like, oh, okay, like and they're talking about, oh, everybody's reacting to this. No, like teenage angst is not. You can't call it teenage angst when you're 30s and you're 40s.
no,
Like you said, I'm trying
yeah,
to
I mean,
find
they're
that
they're
that
doing the
art.
festival circuit anyway.
Yeah.
It's more of a money grab, I think.
I'm trying to see if
That's
I
my
could pull
two
it.
cents.
Listen, that's fine, and I feel like that's part of what it is. I was looking for that Loudwire article, actually, the big four of prog metal, and the fact that they included Dream Theater, Queensryche, Opeth, and Between the Buried and Me. I was curious to see what you thought about that four, because I don't think those should be the four they're talking about.
I don't even know who the last band is.
Wow. It's
So,
think of like animals as leaders. It's like math progressive rock is what I would call it. I got to see them once and they didn't move. Like they're literally planted in one spot on the stage playing, and they're
Mhm.
playing the most intricate parts in the world. Um, but man, I I feel like Tool getting left out of that was kind of weird. And
No,
even Portnoy said, "Oh, I would have included Fate's Warning or Tool," and I'm like, "Yeah, I would have too." But I feel like Dream Theater is always cemented into that, the big four of prog. But do you feel like they should be in the big prog metal category at this point?
I don't really have any problem with Dream Theater being in there. Queensryche, I love Queensryche. Some of their stuff, I either love it or I hate it, and it seems to be the consensus with Loudwire too.
Hmm.
Um, now that whole band situation's got diluted with two different singers and Jeff Tate doing his own thing, and everybody calls it Queensryche. Um, but I never considered their music metal.
No, and
So,
I don't think it is either. And I mean, I think it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. Jet City Woman comes on, and that might not be everybody's favorite song, but I love that song. There's just something about that song
mhm.
where I'm like, all right, don't skip. Just listen to it. It's good. But I would not, if I played that for anybody, I'd be like, "You like metal?" And they'd be like, "This isn't metal." So I
Mhm.
feel like that list was kind of weird, but at the same time, I'm not going to agree with number 1 on that list for the albums because
I
they
did
rank
not
these
see.
albums. So they rank the albums worst to best of all the bands. And coming in at number 1, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. I said, I don't disagree with that at all. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but that album was a we've talked about it before. That album was a catalyst to change my life. Like hands down.
Yeah, that album's classic.
So it kind of brings me to, they've announced the tour. They're doing all, Dream Theater's doing everything in Europe. We've got Portnoy back at the helm, which still just doesn't feel real. And I can keep saying it over and over because it was so weird the way it happened. And, I think all of us were secretly and openly saying we want it to happen. And when we saw Liquid Tension, we were like, maybe it could happen. And then we saw him with, Petrucci touring. We're like, maybe it could happen. And then we, fold into it actually happening. But, my thoughts are like, are we what are we going to be met with when this new album comes out and this new tour comes out? Like, do you think we're going to see a lot of the older Dream Theater stuff? Do you think we're going to see a lot of the newer stuff kind of peppered in, or do you think we're going to get like a whole recreation of everything, basically in the same way that I feel Train of Thought was? Because Train of Thought changed the direction of how Dream Theater was going. So, I mean, what do you think?
I was reading up on that a little bit, where they were trying to get more of that sound back from Images and Words
Hmm.
and Metropolis. They've got the engineer that they used.
I
They're
heard that.
using
Yeah.
some of the same amplifiers and different things like that. So I think they're going to go for the classic sound, because that's what people want to hear. And hopefully, because there's some of their albums they got in, you could definitely hear a Tool influence, or
Hmm.
grunge influence, or they were trying to do blast beats for a while, because that's just not really their thing either.
No,
I don't think the whole blast beat metal, that's not Dream Theater,
no,
in
and I
my
mean,
opinion.
it was weird to hear it in Black Clouds.
Hmm.
Um, in A Nightmare to Remember, if I'm not mistaken, he does it, and you're like, I think it was the first time I had heard him doing blast beats,
Hmm.
and I just went, "Well, that's weird." Like it was cool, but it was like,
Yeah, they
Okay.
did blast bass. They did some growls. They did the detuned guitars. They were trying a lot of things, and some of it didn't land.
Yeah. I will never forget sitting in my car. I was sitting at a stoplight on US 19, and I had Nightmare to Remember playing, and it was the first time I had listened to it, and it has the car crash right at the beginning, like right in the first minute or two. I heard the brake squeal. I grabbed the steering wheel and I closed my eyes, and I was just like, "Oh, it's the song." So kudos to whoever recorded that because that sounded damn real to me.
Yeah, it does. It was probably from a movie or something like that. So,
Yeah. Well, it kind of begs the way everything has progressed. No pun intended there. Um,
mhm.
do we feel like this is the last tour? Do we feel like this is kind of their way of saying goodbye? The 40th anniversary, putting the band back together, so to speak. And do you feel like we're going to get any surprises on this tour? Maybe some, Kevin Moore's popping up, or things like that. Derek
Derek
Shin.
Shinnian, yeah, Shinanian, or however you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I love
think.
Derek because everything he did with Virgil Donati was amazing with Planet X. So,
Mhm. I do think you're going to see things like that because I think this is probably, at some point you can't keep doing what you were doing. James's vocal range is being pushed at this point already.
hmm and he's even come out and said it because there are people who would just rip him apart. And obviously, I would have loved, unfortunately, rest in peace, Charlie Dominici. I would have loved to see him on stage with the guys. Given what they've been able to do.
Hmm.
Um, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I really feel like he just wasn't what the band needed, and so it just sucks that he passed away before they were able to kind of do this last tour. Um, it's just weird seeing Portnoy go, okay, I'm done with the drum tracks. Petrucci, I'm done with the drum. I feel like they're doing more interviews. I feel like they're doing more clips. I feel like it's setting us up
Yeah, I
for that.
do too. They're working on the writing sessions now, and
Yeah,
they're like, we're trying to keep everything a secret and under wraps. But
but they're doing that the right way. Take a
yeah,
note, Slipknot. And I mean, we talk about these tours. So, the Dream Theater tour, the Aristocrats just announced their tour, promoting their album Duck. So, Marco Miniman. And then the ambulance or fire truck that's right outside my window. So, if you can hear that,
I can hear that.
all right. Good mic. Good mic. Um, the Beat tour. So, the King Crimson with Steve Vai, Tony Levin, the guy from King Crimson, which I'm sorry, anybody who's watching this going, I don't.
Robert Fripp.
Yeah, and then Danny Carey on drums. I feel like
Hmm.
this is a weird amalgamation that I already have tickets to. So, what are your thoughts on the four of them? Because I've listened to some of the King Crimson stuff, and I know it was the basis or the foundation for a lot of everything we listened to. But for you, like, was it something that was even part of your discography or something you listened to?
And the short answer, no, because
That's exactly what I.
yeah,
It was
the first drummer was Bill Bruford, who left Yes to play for King Crimson, and they were just pushing the envelope, from what I understand. And then Pat Mastelotto joined, who actually played for Mister. He would play more electronic drums. Bill would play acoustic, and it was just like a total amalgamate. Uh, Matt,
amalgamation.
yes, that
That
of
thing.
and I just at the time I couldn't even understand what was going on because I have I still want to find the one somewhere, and I wasn't gonna. It was a math problem to try to figure it out, but I can enjoy some of it now.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's aged very well. I feel like, you listen to some of the stuff and you go, okay, I can hear Metallica got influences from this. I can hear the Dream Theater influences from this. I can hear
Hmm.
all this stuff. And then at one point, you had Gavin Harrison playing drums for them,
Right.
and everything he did with Porcupine Tree and Pineapple Thief and all that. And it all that stuff is just all over the place. And I love when that stuff just comes on random because it's a nice change from the regular music, I guess I would say.
And Pineapple Thief's on tour too, so
Don't tell me that. I
they're
He would
playing
play.
they're playing the same place we saw Neil Morse.
Oh, and the Abbey in Orlando.
Yeah,
Was it the Abbey or was it?
I think so. Or maybe it's the
This isn't me
Plaza, but it's
looking
one
up.
of those two.
This isn't me looking up another tour or another band to see. It's well, it's another thing. So Under Oath just announced a 20th year anniversary tour, and they
Hmm.
did one of the strangest things I had seen in a while was they had a Friday night show sold out. I mean, sold out before the pre-sale even started, which nobody has figured out how that happened yet. So they added a Saturday show. Saturday show sells out.
Hmm.
Adds a Sunday show, sells out.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know a lot of bands who could do a 3 day just like who would sell out that fast, you know. But I also realize Under Oath being from Spring Hill, not Tampa, Spring Hill, to all you
Hmm.
people out there. Um, it's an interesting kind of thing. And the tickets, $35. I said, that's how much a ticket should be. And I know that's been a source of contention lately too, is how much people are charging. It's just getting out of hand. And I know the government's trying to do something about it, but I'm like, what are you gonna do?
They're trying to stop the junk fees. When that $25 ticket becomes 47.50 with all the event charges, that's
Yep.
ridiculous.
I bought two $35 tickets and it was over $100. And I was like,
Yeah.
the math is not adding up here. But yeah, they're
No,
all
it's like, what are those fees for? So,
exactly. And that's the thing when a ticket we were looking at hockey tickets and it's like, okay, the ticket's $100. The fees are $100. Like, what is going on here?
yeah, and you get a gold-plated souvenir ticket. What's
Yeah.
going on?
And that's the other thing is that like where I'll always say about metal bands, metal bands I could spend $85. I'm getting a meet and greet with the band. I'm getting a laminate. I'm getting a photo with them. I'm getting to talk to them. I'm getting a photo book. Like I'm getting all these things, and it's like $85 for some of these other bands. You're sitting in the back row
Hmm.
with a 7 foot tall guy in front of you, and you can't see anything because you're going like this the whole show.
Yeah, and that's why their fans are so loyal. I mean,
Yep,
I'd rather have a small number of very loyal fans than just tons of fair weather fans. They could
exactly.
care less. It's just, oh, okay, I'll go.
So, and then we talk about. I think that feels like a weird but appropriate transition. We talk about fair weather fans, but we also talk about loyalty and things being around for a while, and sometimes that doesn't last. And we saw today the news about Sam Ash
Right.
and all of them going under. And I mean, I knew the one in Clearwater was going under, but I didn't realize it was going to be a company wide thing. So, how do you feel about that? And think about like your favorite memory going in there, because I'm gonna have to think of one too, because it definitely it definitely was a place that it's gonna be missed.
Yeah, I mean, I would remember when Sam Ash took over some local music stores. They bought out Thoroughbred Music. I'd never heard of Sam Ash, but it was a big institution based out of New York. And it was always a cool place to go. But over the last few years, you could just see you'd go in there and there was no inventory. It was all entry level kits, used cymbals, used drums. I mean, you could start to see what was going on. They used to have clinics. There's no more clinics or anything like that. And it's just, the industry, becoming an online deal.
Hmm.
And there's a few meccas, places that you can go. You're in the Northeast, you can go up to Drum Center at Portsmouth. I'm in the Midwest. I can, in a few hours, I can be up to Sweetwater in Indiana, or I can go down to Forks in Nashville. I think you just have some destinations. Unfortunately, that corporate music store situation, I think, is gone. Guitar Center will probably be close by.
Yeah.
I think they do have their hand in a few other things. I think they're owned by Drum Workshop. I've heard. I don't know if that's true, but probably my favorite memory of Sam Ash. I've got a couple. One was seeing the Falicon rack from Sabotage, and then I saw that in Modern Drummer. It's the chains, looks like a tree, but
No.
it was a drum rack. And I was lucky enough when we went to New York, I did manage to make it to the original Sam Ash on 48th. And that was just cool, kind of a cool vibe, knowing all the drum hangs that had happened in that location, and just where it started. So it was kind of cool to do that.
Well, yeah, and for us, like growing up, when we would go out on the weekends, it was either we would go to Walmart in the morning, look for Hot Wheels, and go to the flea market. We go to Encore, which
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure Encore's gone too.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and then being able to go there and just play, just bang on stuff, and the guy
Hmm.
would walk over and make sure you had the right sticks and you weren't using a pair of new sticks, which was always funny to me. That there was a guy like patrolling that, like, no, 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 don't do that.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it was just to go there and ask about the new gear that was out. Did you have the
yeah,
latest head? And they knew they were up on all that stuff. Now it's like, I don't know.
yeah, and I think we lost a semblance of just that pride in the store. You go into some of these stores, these people really love what they do. They really did. And
Hmm.
then to go in now, it's like I could see why they're not lasting. So hopefully something good comes out of it. I mean, we keep seeing, at least on the page, we keep seeing new drum companies coming out, new people
Hmm.
making drums. There's got to be somewhere for them to go eventually when they get to the point where they're gonna be in heavy distribution. So you know,
I think they just do it online because of things like Shopify. You can set up your own online store pretty easily now
yeah,
if you can
and
get
I
your
think
distribution.
it's just weird it's weird to me to think of buying a cymbal online without getting to play it first. That to me is just it just doesn't seem right. Not being able to hit that drum and feel what it sounds like or what uh what it could be. So
Yeah,
I
that's
will
where Memphis Drum Shop has where they play the cymbal for you, and it's like you can buy this exact cymbal.
oh
That's
wow.
one way around it, but yeah, I've
But
ordered some cymbals, and it's kind of a crapshoot. You hope, especially with Zildjians, their sounds can vary widely, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
well, yeah, and you've got all these companies, like I said, making new drums, making new drumsticks. I know Woody's is one of the newer companies that I've seen making drumsticks. I'm curious to see
Hmm.
what they're gonna do. I actually ordered us two pairs, so Woody's, there you go.
I was going to
Um,
say he had his soft launch last week, so
yeah, I bought one for me, one for you. I'll ship it up to you.
okay. I was going to do that, and then I got preoccupied with something else, so probably sleep. Oh,
Probably.
actually, I was sick last week, so.
I was gonna say you were sick last week, but
Hmm.
to everyone watching, I know we usually have a guest, but the whole idea behind this was that we want to be able to carry this without a guest and just have the conversations that you're basically hearing the conversations Dad and I have on the phone, through Instagram, through everything else. So I think this was kind of a nice change in the lineup. We've got, some fun guests coming up. We're trying to lock down some people for scheduling. I know, Dad, you had a few people you threw my way, and we're not going to give anyone away
No.
just in case there's any scheduling snafus or anything. We don't want to disappoint or give any false expectations, but there are a couple people who have showed some interest in the show, and it's pretty exciting just based on what we're doing. We're not putting out shows every week. We're not blasting everybody with what's going on. We're having a fun conversation, and David definitely kind of helped spark some interest with that. So, David, thank you so much for being our guest on the last show.
Yes,
Uh,
thank you, David.
And if anybody heard the intro of the show is one of David's songs that he was gracious enough to let us use. So guys, check out his album and just check out other drummers. Not everybody's going to be the best drummer in the world. Not everybody's going to be the most famous drummer in the world, but there are some incredibly talented musicians, and this is the chance to kind of give them a little bit of spotlight without you know making it go to their head, I guess would be the best way to say it. So
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. I mean, David doesn't need any extra spotlight. He's done very well for himself
yeah, and I
with
mean
the things
the
he's done.
and the subscribers we have, like, thanks to all you guys, and we just appreciate it. We're having fun with this, and we're gonna try to work on that every other week schedule. But as you all know, sometimes stuff happens. People get sick. People, have issues with their technology, their timing, their schedule, whatever the case is. But we just appreciate that. But I know we said we'd keep it right around where we are. So I want to see if you have any last words to kind of roll us out on this one. And the first episode that we did, it was just the two of us talking. So this is kind of a first for us too.
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to throw this around to see how it works. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you want to ask us anything, just drop it in the notes on one of the platforms, and we'll try to answer it as much as we can. Just tell us what you'd like to see,
Yeah, definitely.
what you're thinking about, and just who your influences are, because your influences can be everywhere, from the guy you saw playing at church to Dave Weckl, and
Yeah,
all points in between. So, and sometimes it's just a sound you hear in your head somewhere, and it might strike a beat. Music is everywhere if you listen. It doesn't
absolutely.
have to be coming from a radio speaker. So,
I think we need that on our t-shirt. Music is everywhere. Listen, I'm not even kidding right now. That was brilliant.
well, this world needs some of that too. So, I mean, music is the great unifier.
Yep.
So,
Music, because mental
so
health
make,
matters.
I'm sporting old school MTV. So,
Listen, MTV changed everything too, but
it changed my life for sure, because that's all I watched for about 2 years solid, from day one.
and I really love that you said that because that's exactly what this is all about. This is not about getting famous. This is not about making
No.
millions of dollars, which neither one of us would turn down if like
Yeah.
and we're working out the details on some, big news. I know we've been talking about it for a while. So once we've got that ironed out, we'll share with you, and it's just going to expand the reach and present probably more opportunities that we're really excited about. So, behalf of myself, Dad, thanks for watching, guys, and
Thanks for
hope
watching. You
we're good.
guys have a great night, and I hope you win lots of money during the Kentucky Derby this week. So
Absolutely.
go
Stay tuned,
Sierra Leone.
guys. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the DrumQuig podcast. Thank you so much.